Mind, spirit, or mechanics, the quantum leap from void to being. Chapter 4. Electric and Electromagnetic Foundations of Will. The human body is, among many other things, an electrochemical system. Every thought, sensation, movement, and emotion depends on electrical activity, action potentials traveling along nerves, synaptic signals crossing microscopic gaps, and field potentials created by the synchronized firing of millions of neurons. The brain alone contains roughly 86 billion neurons, each capable of firing hundreds of times per second, each action potential involving the movement of millions of ions through voltage-gated channels. Together, they generate an astonishingly complex electrical symphony, producing electromagnetic fields strong enough to be measured outside the skull by tools like EEG and MEG. The heart, with its own network of about 40,000 neurons, sometimes called the little brain, produces an electromagnetic field that can be up to 60 times stronger than the brain's and detectable several feet away. Every muscle generates electrical potentials when it contracts, and even tissues that are not part of the nervous system, bone, fascia, connective tissue, epithelium, display bioelectric properties essential for healing, development, and cellular regulation. This bioelectric reality is not a side feature of human life. It is the medium through which all neural computation, sensation, movement, emotion, and consciousness occur. A thought is a pattern of electrical activity spread across cortical and subcortical networks. An emotion is a coordinated pattern of autonomic activation, changes in heart rate, skin conductance, muscle tension, gut activity, and hormone release, driven by electrical signals from the brainstem, hypothalamus, amygdala, and insula. Will, the felt experience of choosing, committing, and directing action, is a specific pattern of prefrontal activity in which executive networks suppress competing impulses, amplify goal-relevant signals, and coordinate the motor system. Will is not an immaterial force acting on the brain. It is a reorganization of electrical activity within the brain, a shift in the system's dynamical landscape that changes which attractors dominate and which are suppressed. The electromagnetic fields generated by neural activity are not mere byproducts. Evidence increasingly suggests they help coordinate brain function. Oscillatory neural activity, rhythmic fluctuations in electrical potential at specific frequencies, is found throughout the brain and corresponds to distinct cognitive states. Delta waves, 0.5 to 4 Hz, dominate deep sleep and support restoration and memory consolidation. Theta waves, 4 to 8 Hz, appear during meditation, light sleep, and relaxed wakefulness, and are linked to memory encoding and cross-regional integration. Alpha waves, 8 to 13 Hz, dominate relaxed wakefulness with eyes closed and reflect calm alertness and reduced cortical processing. Beta waves, 13 to 30 Hz, accompany active thinking, problem-solving, and focused attention. Gamma waves, 100 plus Hz, are associated with binding information across distant brain regions, conscious awareness, and heightened perception or insight. These oscillations are not just correlated with mental states, they help create them. The brain integrates information and generates unified experience through the synchronization and desynchronization of oscillations, through coherence, phase locking, and cross-frequency coupling. When a decision is made, when will is exercised, the brain's electromagnetic landscape reorganizes. Before the decision, neural activity is desynchronized and variable. Many populations are active, competing, and generating conflicting signals. Electromagnetically, the pre-decision brain is a high-entropy system with many degrees of freedom and no dominant pattern. As the decision forms, synchronization increases. One pattern becomes dominant, competing patterns are inhibited, and the brain's electromagnetic field becomes more coherent and focused. This shift from disorder to order, from entropy to coherence, from noise to signal, is the electromagnetic signature of will. It is what will looks like from the outside, measured by electrodes and magnetometers, and what it feels like from the inside, the movement from confusion to clarity, hesitation to determination, potential to commitment. Once a decision stabilizes into a coherent electromagnetic pattern, it produces the felt sense of drive and motivation, the experience of being pulled toward a goal, of knowing what to do next. This feeling is not separate from the electrical pattern, it is the subjective experience of that pattern. The electrical state and the felt state are not cause and effect, they are two aspects of one event, the physical and the experiential. This is a form of dual-aspect monism, one underlying reality with two inseparable faces. Seen in this light, ancient concepts like pra, chi, and pneuma take on new meaning. They are not supernatural energies flowing through invisible channels. They are phenomenological descriptions, inner accounts, of real bioelectric and biomechanical processes. In the Vedic and yogic traditions, pra is the vital breath that animates the body, flowing through na with s and regulated through prima. The effects attributed to pra, vitality, clarity, emotional balance, health, match the physiological effects of autonomic regulation through controlled breathing. Slow, deep breathing activates the parasympathetic system, lowering heart rate, blood pressure, and cortisol while increasing vagal tone. Fast, forceful breathing activates the sympathetic system, increasing arousal and energy. The Na with s correspond roughly to autonomic pathways. Pra corresponds to the electrical and chemical signals traveling along them. Ancient yogis mapped the functional anatomy of the autonomic nervous system long before Western science did, using the language available to them. The same applies to qi in Chinese tradition. Qi flows through meridians and can be cultivated through qigong, taiji, and acupuncture. Modern research shows that acupuncture points often have higher electrical conductivity, that stimulating them affects autonomic activity and brain function, and that therapeutic effects involve endorphins, vagal modulation, and inflammatory pathways. Meridians may not be physical tubes, but the functional map, points where stimulation produces specific physiological effects, is real and neurologically explainable. Pneuma, in ancient Greek thought, was the animating breath or spirit. Galen described three kinds: natural pneuma, liver, metabolism; vital pneuma, heart, circulation; and psychic pneuma, brain, sensation and thought. This mirrors the body's three major regulatory systems: metabolic, cardiovascular, and nervous. Pneuma is not identical to bioelectricity, but it plays the same conceptual role, the medium that coordinates the body and enables purposeful action. The practical implication is that cultivating will, strengthening the capacity to choose, commit, and follow through, is fundamentally about training the brain's electromagnetic dynamics. This requires repetition, because stabilizing a new attractor state depends on strengthening the synaptic connections that support it. Long-term potentiation requires repeated activation. This is why contemplative traditions emphasize daily practice, why character formation emphasizes discipline and habit, and why coaches and teachers insist that transformation comes from consistent repetition. The weak electrical signals of a new intention must be reinforced until they reshape the brain's dynamical landscape, carving a new channel through which activity flows. This work is slow, difficult, and cumulative, but it is real, physical, and universal, whether described as prima, qigong, cognitive behavioral therapy, or synaptic plasticity.